All right, we're out here today at my brother Paul's property. We're clearing out this property line in order to get a fence put in. So we're gonna walk through and show you what we have going on to get the fence put in. So first things first, we have had this professionally surveyed. So you can see behind, we have the T-post with the pink ribbon as well as the tree that has a pink ribbon. So the reason that's on the tree is that does let us know that it's basically a shared tree between the neighbor and Paul's property. So what we have here is a tree, this red pine that is the neighbor's, but what you are allowed to do is trim all of these branches that do extend onto your property. So we're gonna have to basically go down the line. I mean, if we're at night, we could use a laser, but we're gonna do it by eyesight, lining up the T-post, and we're gonna just trim all these back to the property line. So in this township, they do require a 2-foot offset for the fence, and that's just their rules. So we are gonna put the fence off about 3 to 4 feet. So what that's gonna allow us to do, which is gonna work out in our benefit too, it's gonna allow us room to not trespass onto the neighbor's property, but give us room, because this is gonna be a high tensile fence, high tensile electric fence, that we're gonna be able to maintain and trim back all these branches so they're not grounding out the fence. So we're gonna have that little bit of a buffer, but we do wanna make sure we have that trimmed up as best that we can to start with. So let's walk through and see kind of what we're working with. So things that we're doing, you can see here we have between kind of the scrubby stuff that we have to cut down, dead trees, fallen branches, all sorts of stuff like that. So we're just gonna go through and do our best. You know, it's gonna be probably a couple days of work and messing around to get this stuff cleared up. Some of the stuff, I mean, so around here, this is, well, we call it a cherry tree. It's a non-fruiting cherry. You know, this makes good firewood. So we're gonna get this cut down, all the branches. We do have a brush pile. So in Michigan, we can look on the DNR website. They do have what they call a burn map. So you can look on there. It's updated I believe it's every 15 minutes. You can look through there and it'll give you kind of a green or a yellow, some different color codes that let you know if they have open burn. So when there's snow on the ground, you can open burn if you're taking some certain precautions, or if you need to get a permit, or if there's a burn ban. So right now, if you can look around, it's 25 degrees out and it's January. So we are definitely not gonna burn, but we're gonna set up and do a little bit of a brush pile when it is safe, when we have more snow. So we're gonna do the tops and the branches to burn. The rest of this is just gonna make nice firewood. So like I said, we have some of this stuff too, where we just have down branches and brush and stuff that's in the way, and I'm tripping over some of this stuff. You can see, I believe it was two years ago, we had a guy come through with a forestry mulcher because this was pretty heavily like overgrown, and he kind of established the line to some degree. And what you end up with, you kind of got to take the good with the bad. He did make a few ruts because it was actually a mini excavator with the forestry mulching head on it. Was pretty cool. He can reach a little bit different than having a skid steer, but the machine was a little bit heavier. So like, as you can see on the ground here, like it really left a little more ruts and stuff, because it was the largest excavator that's considered like a mini excavator. So it was a little heavier and the ground was a little soft at the time. So left a few ruts here and there, but it did a pretty good job clearing up the lines. So here's a good example though. So when he took down some of this stuff, you might end up with a lot of things that look like this. So you can almost see the head where it was grinding in. So ground up most of this tree, but not all of it. So you end up with a lot of this stuff. So a lot of this we're coming through today. We got the little John Deere tractor, and we're gonna put the trailer behind it. Just fill up the trailer, put it in our burn pile, get the brush pile ready for when it's safe to burn that up. So that's a lot of the work that we're gonna do today, is just a lot of cleanup. So we're gonna get to work here and we'll show you guys some of the tools that we're working with. All right, we're gonna run through some of the tools that we're using today and why I like them. First, these Fiskars loppers. There's a couple different models. I really like the ones that have like this kind of gear deal in here. They really work well. They do the bigger stuff. It gives you better leverage. There's a smaller handled option that doesn't have this, and they just don't work as well. So I pay more money, get the longer handled, get these ones here. I always like, if I'm cutting firewood, I like to have a measuring stick. I use this reflective fiberglass stake that's for marking like the driveways and stuff when you're plowing snow. It's just a really easy, lightweight way to make a measure stick for cutting firewood. We got a pile of saws here. So I like my steel saws. I got the 362. It's got good power to weight. So that's why I'm running this one. I do like this 044. It has a little more power, but it's heavier. So for the bigger stuff or for felling, I like that one. And you know, I was really poo-pooed on the electric chainsaws, but you know, it honestly has a use case for a saw like this, for your really smaller limbs, you know, stuff that you really don't need a bigger, heavier saw for, you know, and something that honestly, you put the power button on and it just fires up. You need to make a quick couple cuts. You know, maybe not in this circumstance, you need it all the time, but other things where you're just going to use it once or twice, you know, maybe something falls in the driveway, you just need to make a couple quick cuts. That just fires up, and you know, you just click the button and it goes. You don't need to be getting your mixed gas and all the rest of the stuff in your saw. You just use it and you go. So we're going to use that for some of the smaller limbs. Obviously, you know, if you're running the gas saws, you got to have your mixed gas. I prefer using, even though I run the steel saws, I use the Husky, the XP Plus mix oil with my gas. we might be felling some trees today, so honestly, the edge on this sucks, but I'm not really worried about that. This is just for pounding wedges. I like having this picaroon, and sometimes it's nice to have the cutting edge on the backside. And then just a little tool bag. We've got extra chains, wedges, if I need to sharpen a chain quick. You know, we've got the stuff in there. So this is all the tools that we have. So we're gonna get to work. We're gonna get the tractor off the trailer and get the trailer hooked up and get to work. All right, we started picking up some of the stuff off the ground. As we walked, you know, we found even more branches and deadfall on the ground, which is a good thing. We're just really trying to get this cleaned up. Part of this project, aside from getting the property line cleaned up for our fence, we are trying to make this more manageable to walk through. So here's a perfect case for these loppers. You can see all these lower branches on this pine tree. You know, these are all dead. So these loppers really allow you to get in close and get these dead branches trimmed right off of here really nice. So we're able to, you know, we're really taking off anything that's of head height that's gonna bonk us in the head if we're walking through here. So we're just trimming this stuff up. You know, that's even some of these that were already broken off. Maybe we're just gonna clean them up a little bit. And one like this, it's between all these other trees, and this thing's just never gonna grow. And you can see it already, it's getting this vine on here. So these loppers, I forget the maximum. It tells you it'll go to 2-inch. So we're gonna clean this back the best that we can because we don't want this to become a trip hazard. We're gonna get this about as low as we can possibly get it. And for your leverage, obviously you're gonna get as far back on the handles as you can. Give that a good whack. So now we got that cleaned up, you know, perfect job for the loppers here. So now we got this whole area. I mean, look how much of a difference that made. We can get through here. So here's one. This is a little bit bigger than our max capacity. So here's a perfect use case for this electric saw. So again, we're gonna get this clear back the best that we can. You know, the real killer for dulling up our chain is obviously gonna be dirt. So we wanna make sure we're keeping the chain out of the dirt. So we're gonna clear that back. This just is so simple. On button here. This does have, you know, a chain brake, so it's basically just another safety switch like your gas saw would normally have. So we'll pull that back, and then it does have a dual engage. You have to push the side button here and the trigger. So we're again mindful of our bar. Nice and simple for the smaller stuff. So we just get this on the ground. So as easy as it would be to cut this up with a gas saw, you know, I forget the weight of those steel saws. It's really just kind of overkill to fire the saw up for something that small. When we just are trying to clear this area up, like I don't necessarily need to cut a bunch of other stuff because we're working. We don't want to get too far away from the trailer and be walking with the material. So what we're trying to do is knock this stuff down kind of in the area of the trailer and then get it loaded up. And then we'll move the trailer and then cut the material and get it loaded on the trailer. So we're going to keep working and keep this pile going and show you guys some more progress as we go. All right, we're wrapping up on day one of this job here. You can see we cut quite a bit out. We picked a bunch of material up. It took a lot longer than what we had expected just because there was a lot of deadfall and branches underneath the fallen leaves. So as you can see on the trailer here, it's just heaped up, and that was all the material that was basically immediately surrounding the trailer. So, you know, everywhere we walked, you think you'd had all the stuff picked up, you'd walk a little bit and then you'd kick up and find something else, like, you know, there'd be something else underneath your foot. So you throw it on the trailer, and we did trim a little bit of the dead branches on the bottom of these trees. So it just turned into a lot bigger job than what we had expected as far as like the small little task, you know, picking up all this stuff and then making the trips and put it into our burn pile. So I kind of lost track on how many trips that we had made to empty off the trailer. So we didn't get a lot of the bigger stuff cut, you know, firewood made and all that kind of stuff. But we did get, we're gonna walk through just a little bit more and we can kind of see, hopefully you can kind of compare against how the first part of the video looked. You can see just how much of the little stuff there was, you know, in here. And again, with the forestry mulcher, you know, a lot of the stuff got ground up, but then you had these bigger pieces. So these are easier to find. A lot of this stuff is just buried underneath the leaves. But we're making the path for our fence, and we really, on this property line, you know, we want to be able, whether we're going to mow it or, you know, if we get a side-by-side or even just walking through here, you don't want to be tripping on all this stuff all the time. So with the weather that we have and that we're able to get onto the forest floor here to get it cleaned up, you know, there's really no better time. I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit overdressed for the 25-degree plus weather that we had today. So it was good working conditions, but a lot of this messing around. So you can kind of see here, I mean, it's looking really good. It's just taking longer. So we're going to wrap this video up. We're going to keep working, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. If you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.